Hey there, and welcome to the Homemade Haven. I recently had a friend reach out to me asking for information on how to raise chickens for a beginner. So I thought I would put together a mini series on how to raise chickens for beginners and for those of you who just have general questions. This will be a super from the beginning overview of what a chicken looks like, their anatomy, how to care for them, and in future videos I will be sharing what they need to survive as far as food, shelter, and maintenance. Once the series is complete, I will put the links in the description box below so that you can go and watch them all in order. I will also insert chapters into the description box in case you want to skip ahead in the video at any time. So to start with, let's wrangle up some chickens so that we can look at them up close and personal. Alright, so here we have one of our roosters. This is Elvis. He is a Rhode Island Red, and he's really a good boy. For those of you who are completely unfamiliar with chickens, I just wanted to give a quick rundown of their anatomy so that if you're looking online at forums or here in videos, somebody mentioned these different body parts, you'll know exactly what they're talking about. So first, here on the top of his head, you'll notice he's got this mohawk piece. This is called his comb. Each breed of chicken will have different size combs, and then the same goes for their wattles, which are down here, these two flappy things under his beak here. And then on the side of his head he has what are called lobes. Some chickens will have a different shape comb than this. They will be kind of short. Knowing which chickens have what kind of combs can be helpful depending on the climate that you live in. So if you live in a colder area, you're going to want to look for chickens that have rose combs. For us living in the southeast of North Carolina, we really don't have to worry about too many days of freezing cold temperatures, though this year we have had some kind of unusual weather. But the reason that you want chickens that have shorter combs would be because of the possibility of frostbite. So any of this flesh that is up farther away from their bodies where the body heat is not able to get to it, they are more susceptible to getting things like frostbite, and the same can happen on their wattles as well. So beyond that, most of you know the rest of a chicken. You've got your neck, breast, wings. Let's see if I can show you wings without him freaking out too bad. Wings here. You've got their legs and feet. They usually have 3 long toes and 1 short, like thumb kind of toe. Easy. Some breeds will have more toes, like silkies, they'll have a couple extra toes. And then your roosters will have what are called spurs, which are like long toenails that jet out the side of their legs, and those are for defense. One of the most common misconceptions is that you have to have roosters in order to have eggs at your house or homestead or farm. And that is not true. Your hens will lay eggs regardless of whether there's a rooster around or not. Roosters come in handy for protection. If you are free-ranging your chickens like what we do here on our farm, it's good to have at least 1 rooster to every 10 hens or so. We keep 2 per 10 hens because we have such a large plot of land. It does help to keep them extra safe when they're out there foraging. Roosters are also necessary for breeding, so if you want to hatch any of your own eggs, then you must have a rooster around. You cannot incubate, or your hens cannot sit on your eggs and hatch out chicks without a rooster fertilizing them first. Not all roosters are mean. Actually, they can be quite the gentleman to the hens. You'll notice that if they find something to eat on the ground, they're going to make a call to the hens. to tell them to come over and have some because they want their women to have some feed so that they can continue to grow and reproduce and continue their lineage. And if you do have rude roosters, which they do come along, not all of them are nice, they make great chicken and pastry. Or you can find somebody that would take them in, or a local chicken sanctuary or something of the sort. You ready to get down? You got a job to do, don't you? All right, then. Back to work. This is another one of our roosters here. You might have seen in one of our previous videos, if you've been following along with us, that he's taken a beating here recently. So he's a little dirty and messed up, but we still love him. Jack is an American Bress, which is a dual breed chicken as well. So they are actually known for being pretty prolific at laying eggs, and they also grow really big fairly fast. So that makes them a great breed to raise for meat. So in addition to his comb and wattle and lobes here, if you look closely at the beak here, they also have nostrils, which are here, which is obviously what they breathe through. Sometimes they'll get clogged up with food or dust and you'll hear them make a squeak noise, and that's just them clearing their nostrils or sneezing just like we do. This is an up-close shot of his spurs here. He is a young rooster. He's only about 6 months old, so his spurs have not came in. So his spurs have not came in fully just yet. You want to get down, don't you? One last piece of anatomy that I want to show you guys before I put this guy down is his back end. You can't see anything under all of that feather, which is how it's supposed to be, but that is what's called their vent. And from their vent, they will poop, and your females will also lay eggs from the same spot. Chickens don't pee, they just poop, which is sometimes a little bit more wet and sometimes a little bit more firm. But that is the exit that all of it comes out of. Since this is a video for super beginners, I do want to show how you actually hold a chicken, because if you don't hold them right, they're going to flap and scratch, and it's just not going to be any fun for you or your chicken altogether. Once you have caught them from the ground, and there are a few ways to do that, depending on how people-friendly your chickens are, you might be able to just reach down and pet them and just pick them up, putting your hands around their wings, picking them up just like this. My chickens are a little bit more feisty. We have not done a lot of domesticating with them because we do live kind of in the middle of the woods. So we don't want them to be super cuddly. We want them to be able to defend and take care of themselves in case any predators come along. So we have to catch our chickens by cornering them and either using a fishing net to grab them, or we reach down and grab them by their tail feathers and just push them down to the ground by their tail feathers. So their wings will be flapping and legs will be going, but holding them still by their tail feathers, and then we can take our hand and push their wings down and pick them up all together. And then once we have them picked up, I kind of tuck their wings next to them and then just sit them against my hip and hold them here just like a football. I make sure that the tail end is pointed away from me and not onto my clothes anywhere, because chickens cannot control when they poop. You're not able to house train or potty train a chicken. It just comes out when it comes out, so you always want to be prepared for that. But when I'm holding him, I'm just holding him really close, holding his wings down tight. This makes him feel secure, like he's not falling or losing his balance or anything like that. We have another chicken here. This is one of our buff Orpingtons. These are actually a very prolific layer, and they are a dual breed chicken. So some people raise them for both eggs and for meat because they can get pretty good size. We don't raise these ones for meat. These are just our egg layers. They are very sweet and personable chickens. But we won't go into full details on breeds because that's really going to be up to you. Some of the things that you might look for in a breed are how many eggs they lay per year. Now, of course, this is just an estimate, Every chicken is different, but there are some production breeds that are known to lay up to like 300 eggs a year, which is pretty darn good. And then some chicken breeds are known for their temperament, which is something to take into consideration if you are raising them with children or other animals around. Some chickens are known for how well they forage, so if you really would like for them to forage for most of their own feed, that's something else to consider. The breed of chicken that you get is also going to determine the color of egg that you get. So you might have heard the term Easter egger. We don't currently have any Easter eggers here on our property, but they are known to lay different color eggs, like blue eggs, green eggs. There are some breeds that lay dark chocolate color eggs. So a full spectrum of colors. All of our chickens that we have here lay different shades of brown. This is just the external characteristics of the egg. It does not change the flavor or composition of the egg itself. It's just the shell. Some people like to look at really pretty shells. I do. I think they're nice to open a case of eggs and see all the different colors. And if you're looking to sell eggs, maybe to your community, that could be a selling point to have rainbow color eggs. I think we've about covered all of the anatomy of the chicken except one more part that I want to point out. So if I turn this chicken around here, which her feathers are kind of messed up on her back because the roosters have been breeding, and that is something that they do whenever they mount the hens. They will pull some of the feathers out, but she's okay. She's not hurt or anything like that. But underneath her tail feathers here on her back, I can't let her go or she's gonna take off flying, there is a gland, which is their preening gland. It is an oil gland that they will actually take their beak and rub across and release some of the oils, and that helps to make their feathers more waterproof so that if it's raining, you know, they're not going to get soaked down to their skin. It also helps to keep some of the bugs away. As you can imagine, them living on the ground, they are susceptible to picking up things like lice and mites. Something that is very interesting that chickens do naturally all by themselves is what's called a dust bath. So chickens will naturally find a spot that has nice loose sand or dirt, and they will get in it and flip it up on top of them, put it under their wings and roll around in it, and it does help provide a natural protection from bugs and other little critters that try to get on them. Sounds like somebody just laid an egg. So that leads us into the topic and the reason that most of you are probably here. Let's talk about eggs. I'm going to go a little further into detail about a setting for your chickens to lay eggs into in our next video whenever I cover our chicken coop and give you a full tour and show you exactly what kind of shelter to provide for your chickens. So another common misconception with chickens is that they lay eggs every single day, and that's just simply not true. Don't count on having 10 chickens laying you 10 eggs every day of the year. It's just not how it works. So there are seasons of the year that chickens lay a little bit more and then lay a little bit less. So if you're going through extreme heat or extreme cold, and not even so much the cold, but more shorter and less light in a day, they will lay less eggs. When your chickens lay eggs, they have this natural protective coating that is on top of them called the bloom. If you have seen people leave their chicken eggs out on the counter after collecting them, it's because these are safe at room temperature for several weeks. If you think about it, whenever chickens lay eggs, they have to collect them for several days until they have enough to be a clutch for them to sit on and incubate to hatch them out. Most chickens aren't going to try and hatch one egg at a time. As you can see here on this egg, it's been scratched off a little bit, so it's got this white kind of chalky color to it. If this egg were to get wet, or if you were to scratch it off more, it would be a darker brown color underneath. So this bloom acts as a protection to seal all the pores that are in your eggshell, and this is to help preserve what's inside your egg white and your egg yolk, and if it's fertile and a chicken sitting on top of it, then a baby chicken. Once you have washed your eggs, you remove this protective coating from them, and they no longer have a natural preservative on them, so then you'll need to put them into the refrigerator from there. We don't wash our eggs unless they have like a lot of poop on them or have gotten nasty in some other way, but we just leave them right out on our counter, and they are good to go for about a month on the counter. So you want to make sure that you are paying attention to the rotation of your eggs and that you're eating the ones first that are the oldest, and so on. A few things that you might notice about chickens when they are laying. As you just heard a few minutes ago, once they lay an egg, they usually sing what we like to call an egg song, and they bawk, 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 bawk. Just know that if you are keeping just hens and no roosters because you're trying to cut down on the amount of noise that they'll be producing, hens still make noise. Most of the time after they're done laying eggs, they'll announce it to the rest of the flock. The rest of the flock will chime in and they all sing their song together. But in my opinion, the sound that chickens make every couple of times a day is nothing compared to dogs that are locked in their backyard barking all day and all night. Am I right? You do want to be sure that you collect your eggs as often as you can throughout the day. I know that if you're working, then sometimes you don't have the convenience of coming out several times a day, but be sure that you are collecting them at the end of every day at least. You might develop some egg eaters if you don't. If you didn't know, chickens will actually eat their own eggs, and if you let them, they would eat each other. Another common misconception is that chickens are vegetarians. This is simply not true for chickens in their natural state. Now, can you only feed them vegetarian options? Absolutely, but chickens left to their own devices would be omnivores. They will eat things like bugs, lizards, frogs, sometimes even small rodents, mice, as well as grass and leaves, and then the grain that you provide for them as well. And there have been many times that I have seen them actually eat other birds as well. So if you have baby chicks around, sometimes the larger chickens can bully them and even eat them if they felt like it. In a flock of chickens, you have what is called the pecking order. With this pecking order, there are a few alphas that are at the very top, usually your rooster, and you'll have maybe 1 or 2 alpha females, and then the rest are at the bottom of the totem pole. And you'll notice that they establish this pecking order by who gets to eat first, who gets the highest roost in the chicken coop, and just their overall behavior towards one another. They will literally peck each other in the head or the back or wherever and establish that dominance, and whoever backs down gets moved down on that totem pole. I think it goes without saying that chickens can be pretty ruthless, to be honest. If you watch one of our most recent videos about switching our chicken feed, you saw that our poor rooster, while he was down and out and not able to walk or get around or defend himself, our other roosters jumped him and tore him up. Poor little guy, he really took a beating. So he is still in quarantine while he's recovering until he can stand up on his feet and defend himself. So you do want to be careful about having too many chickens that are the dominant ones. Sometimes you might have to intervene, and that might look like separating them into different pens or even getting rid of 1 or more chickens altogether. For the most part, chickens are pretty self-sufficient. There are still several countries all over the world that have native wild free-ranging chickens that just roam around the country, and these chickens are smart enough to find food, water, shelter, and keep reproducing without any intervention of human beings. Let that be a boost of confidence for you that even if you get these chickens home and aren't sure what you're doing and have read all the books and watched all the YouTube channels, know that your chickens are pretty resilient and are going to know what to do to take care of themselves for the most part. I do plan on sharing a little bit more about the things that you can provide to have better success for your chickens in the future videos of this mini how-to chicken series. If you have any specific questions about chickens that you'd like to have answered in the upcoming videos, please leave them in the comments below, and I will try to incorporate those into the upcoming videos. I hope these super beginner level chicken videos are helpful to you. If they are, please give us a thumbs up and share with others that you think might be interested in raising some chickens themselves. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Until then, we'll see you later.